this Burnout Extra, I'm going to give you a shop tour of everything that I have in my garage and all the tools and different pieces of equipment that Tarpy and I use to help grow the channel. So I'm gonna walk around my garage, explain a few things, give a little tips on what I do around the shop, as well as what I keep on hand for either materials or tools. And hopefully it'll help you out for your own shops back home and what you're looking to build or have on hand as well. So I'll start right at the front of the garage. Obviously, I roll my projects in and out all of the time. It seems way too tedious, but to be honest, it's awesome keeping them out of the weather, and it's great to have them on wheels where you can just get them in and out. So right behind my MG, I normally keep my four-wheeler, and then right now it is my MG and then the Rancheros up front. So this shelf specifically, I actually like to keep parts on hand. And these are reusable parts. So things like hinges, I have a little bit of insulation. This is two gas filler necks. Even just shop light bulbs, house plugs and house switches, a couple brackets. I also have like brake pads. These are to one of the cars that my family owns. And these are good brake pads that aren't brand new, but they're in good shape. So I kept them. Things like that. This shelf is mainly for those items where I'm not going to come to that often. I don't use insulation all the time or hinges all the time, but having them on hand when you just know you need that, or when you know you have a set of backup brake pads for a car, that's perfect as well. And then I have a welder extension, which actually goes to an old stick welder that I used to have, and I'm probably going to get rid of that. And these two bottom shelves down here, actually all MG parts, with the exception of one of the boxes there. And that's just extra Volkswagen MG chrome parts. I actually do have the top. I just don't have the metal part of the top. So that's where I keep all those parts because God forbid I need something in the future, it'll be right there. This next shelf is actually something that Tarpy and I built out of pallet wood. And this is our fluids shelf. And this is where I keep pretty much everything under the sun to do with liquids and fluids. I actually keep all my funnels upside down on top so that they drain. And then I normally keep two pans. Right now there's just one pan on the left. I keep two pans underneath that helps catch the fluid most of the time. Most of the time it's oil or coolant. And from there I just drain it from these pans. It's very simple. Obviously these pans are cheap. And for me it helps drain out the funnels over time so that there's not residue or as much residue in them. But like you can see, I mean, I have starting fluid, WD-40, glass cleaner, silicone. This is some Plasti Dip. I have brake clean. Even some spray grease, Bondo, and then after that it's different types of oil, hydraulic jack, brake fluid, power steering fluid, and then larger gear oil, more oil. I keep some old gas just in case to start a fire as well. But this is what I would call the fluid shelf where all the nasty fluids get. Once again, made out of pallet wood. It is actually fairly sturdy, and if something drips, I don't really care if it leaks onto the shelf. So that's pretty awesome. Right here, I keep some extra shelving as well as an oil drain or a coolant drain pan. My oil drain pan is over there. And then just an extra little bucket for brake fluid or something that might drip down. I have like car ramps. So God forbid we need to put a car up on ramps last minute to get under it quick. This is way easier than jacking the car up sometimes, depending on the car. So those are great to have on hand. And those you can buy easily used for 20 bucks, 25 bucks. And then these next few shelves are actually just parts that I either use often or things that are constantly going in and off the shelf. So I have my ATV tires up top. That's a second set. These are actually also, that's a Ranchero piece, but this is also an old MG piece I don't use. And then this is a Ranchero bumper, and that's kind of weaved throughout the entire top shelf. Up top, actually, this box is our Burnout Tent. And this is an awesome canopy made by Action Sports Canopies. They're a sponsor of ours. You'll see at the end or beginning of our videos sometimes. And the canopy itself is phenomenal. It's absolutely built tough. And Tarpy and I love it. We bring it as many places as we can. And obviously it's pretty cool having our logo and our brand on that as well. So shout out to Action Sports Canopies for giving us that, hooking us up with a discount, as well as sponsoring the channel and what we do here with car-related content. They are huge into motocross, automotive, things like that. So be sure to check them out online as well. Underneath is the air compressor. And this is a tiny little 15-gallon, 1.5 horse, I think it is. Honestly, it will not run a shop at all. But for things like filling tires or doing some small stuff, hitting an impact on some lug nuts, that does perfect. You really don't need that big of an air compressor for that. So I keep it under there. I have lines hooked up running to this spool up here, as well as running to the back of the shop for the sandblaster. Once again, it won't keep up with the sandblaster. So if I use this air compressor, I'll pretty much have to wait for it to catch up every probably 5-10 minutes, which is annoying, but if I need to do a small part, it makes it work. This height is exactly for the welding tank, which is in the back there. And so this cart of the welder can roll right out and I can just be ready to weld probably within 5 minutes. Everything's on this cart for welding. And like I said, it kind of just rolls in and out. So as long as the MG is not here, I could just get it out easily. And then this is a giant cloth that I can put down once again for painting, collecting fumes or something like that. And then there's a actually outdoor portable sandblaster, which you'll see in a couple videos in the future. And that I keep here as well. Behind that, on the other side of the shelf, I have a big battery charger, an industrial one. So if I need to charge something, or even charge it, put it on the starting where it's 200 amps or something like that, I'll use that charger. Other than that, I actually have ATV ramps for a truck that I used to use for my Ridgeline. We actually used them in episode 1 with the ATV episode, and episode 3 for the ATVs in episode 3. I also keep some more duct. This is another duct fan. And then this is a Challenger cover. In the winter, I put a cover on the car itself. So that is this rolled up. I obviously have jumper cables and various different parts up top. These are a few Ranchero parts. This is the Ranchero grill. This is a drive shaft for the Ranchero. These are the tires off of the Ranchero, as well as a couple spares from the different projects we have around. So not necessarily something I need right away, but this is kind of my easy storage for them. I don't have a tire rack. I don't really have space for a tire rack right now, so I just throw them on top of this shelf. It's kind of easy storage there. I have an extra set of lights in case I need to use them outside. It's just string lights. This is actually filled with sandblasting bead. And then down bottom, I have a Harbor Freight welder. I think it's 100 amp or 90 amp, something like that. That's honestly perfect for sheet metal. Tarpy and I use it all the time. He uses his at his house as well. So getting into the back part of the garage, this is where all of my parts and tools are pretty much kept. As of now, I have 4 toolboxes. This is my main box, also a travel box that I bring around. This has everything to do with my screwdrivers, an entire socket set and wrench set that's normally in here, as well as a few hammers, pliers, things like that. I do have a tap set in this entire thing. I do have a drill set in this entire thing. These lights right here are actually also automatic strip lights. I use these pretty much everywhere, actually. I've started putting them around where I know I'll be working because they are magnetic on the back. I did a review of these. You can check it out up in this corner of the video and you can see these lights for yourself. They're rechargeable, once again magnetic, and I bring them around to different parts of the shop and hook them onto stuff when I need to. So they're automated on, they turn off after a certain time. They're awesome. Moving back this way, I actually do have a small paint booth, which I have right here, and I paint parts in here all the time. I have it ducted out the window, so that's going up and out the window, out the back. Like I said, nothing too big, but for small parts, things like an interior Ranchero part, this one's ready to be painted. I sandblasted it a while ago, so it's starting to rust up, but this is perfect to do in here as well. I have battery chargers, things like that. And then right here is my hand sandblaster. So you stick your arms in here and then look into this window. There's a light that shines in from the top, and then you can sandblast stuff inside here. This is what I was talking about when I have the compressor all the way up front and I have an air hose line ran all the way back to this. You need compressed air to sandblast, so that's where it's hooked up here. Other than that, it's just actually a bunch of random parts. This is the Ranchero fender. This is a random mailbox. I have extra wire. I have cup holders. I have extra cords. There's an extra thicker wire down there. Extra brake pads for the Ranchero. Extra puller tools. I have a cutter, a grinder wheel, all electric. So a few more lights and a small little jack, as well as a pump jack if I need either one of those. This cart I normally keep tucked into the corner because it's convenient, but this I can put tools on. Right now the heads to my Ford Ranchero engine are on there. And then behind that I actually have 3 different shop vacs. One's a massive one hooked up to the sandblaster, and 2 are smaller ones that I can bring around if I need to as well. And that's pretty awesome, having that flexibility of different sizes and things like that. Underneath this workbench, I actually have the Ford Ranchero tailgate. So this is the tailgate off of the Ranchero. And then this is one of the rocker panels that I will be installing. This is a gas tank we got for free off an old car. Tarpy picked it up for me, and I think I'm going to try and make it work on the Ranchero or something similar. And then underneath that is the Ranchero transmission. So kind of just larger parts Mod Podged in there for now. Hopefully once the Ranchero's together, it'll be a little more cleared up. I have common parts I use on here, both note paper, zip ties. You know that's a common one with Burnout. I have gloves, different gauges that I know need to be put on. I actually don't have a bolted down vise, but I do have this small vise. So if I need to hold something, that works just fine. I do keep a space here because it gets cold down here. These are a bunch of automotive random parts. And then up top behind there, I actually have an additional Volkswagen bumper, as well as tons of different chrome attachments for the Ranchero that goes on the exterior. That's all kind of jammed in the back. And then in front of that, I have a speaker system set up that I use all of the time in the shop, and it's wired throughout the shop as well. And then I'm currently amidst rebuilding the 292 in my Ford Ranchero. So that's what you see here. The pistons are actually in the process of being put back in, but that's why everything's laid out. However, what's awesome about that as well is in this crate right here, this wooden crate, I actually have an additional Ford 292 engine off of an old Ford. And like I said, as of now, the entire engine is just disassembled in that wooden crate, but it's good to have the extra parts because I know I'm going to need a couple. And then this shelf is pretty industrial. It goes all the way to the back of the corner, and everything on this shelf has to do with Ranchero. So whether it's new parts, used parts, you can see there's some floor pans up here for design, specifically for the Ranchero. All of this pretty much will either be on the Ranchero or be sold or scrapped in the end. So once it's together, you won't see any of this on this shelf. Down there is also the rear axle for the Ranchero as well. There's a few more parts like the front A-arms and things like that. This is once again just some more parts I have in stock. I actually love keeping a ton of tiny things in these bins and labeled too, because I know if I need a tire cap or something like that, I can come here and use those. So even something as far as like a tiny little wall hook that I might need to hang a frame or a picture, or even just a small piece of rope, I have very easily accessible. It's very helpful when, you need a cotter pin that you need a brake or something like that. Even just a hose clamp. We have hose clamps that are like tightenable ones, or just ones that are already pre-fitted. Stuff like this. I love having this stuff in stock because it's really just annoying when you need one size 6, size 8 hose clamp and you just happen to not have it. It's perfect having these. And then as I come across stuff, whether I get it for free or what, but I keep things like the Ranchero lug nuts, or I have a bunch of automotive switches here, both for DC and AC related. And those are just in a bunch of bins. So if I need to find a switch or a toggle or a button, I have those on hand as well. Things like automotive plugs, you can go inside here and solder this and have your own custom charger if you need it. So I have that. I have light sockets. I have hood hold downs. I have this steering wheel adapter. There's another review. We will put it in this corner of the video, and that will show you the review of these. Let me see what else. Washers, nuts, random nuts and bolts. I actually have a bin down here that is just all nuts and bolts. So if you need a random size bolt with a random thread, I just go fishing through that. This is actually other extension cords I use around the shop that aren't that large. A couple of them are small. I have loom in this box, some wire protector essentially. This is an extra compressor at the moment, which I'm going to be putting on something. Forgot to turn on these lights for you, but this is also a box of automotive lights. And then up here I have things like plumber's tape, springs, so a couple small pulleys. If I need pocket knife in a specific location, I put that in here. Glass fuses for old cars, drill bits. I have electrical connectors in this box, which I know you've seen before. And then I have things like cotter pins. These are a couple old Ranchero parts. These are extra like AA, AAA batteries, things like that. And then moving on to this part, this toolbox here, I actually have a parts cleaner. For me, I don't need a big one at all, so you can see I use this because it's super dirty, but this has cleaning solvent in it, and I bought this brand new. It's pretty phenomenal. I can actually link this down in the description as well, but this thing is great, and I clean tons of parts in here. It does the job. Once again, I didn't need anything too big, so I went with this one. I keep all of my air tools in here, so whether it be like a just blowing off parts or something like that, even a buffer or a grinder or cutter, I have those in here as well. It's kind of one place to go to if I need any of the air tools. And then in here I have different cloths, things I can cover things with. I have a bunch of newspaper if I need to tape up a window while I'm painting something along those lines. Pretty soon I'll actually also have a computer in here as well. I'm hoping to get that up and going in the next month. And I'll have a TV that will either come off right here, off this shelf here, or off of the wall over there. And so that will provide an option of a computer down here to maybe look up a video instead of doing it on your phone, or even hook it up to the speakers and play music from there. But I have tons of lighting throughout the shop. I put up all the lighting myself. Other than that, there's tons of parts laying around. My shop consists of mostly 50-50 between parts and tools, and it's always rotating. I always have new stuff coming in, but I also have parts being used and put on as well. So some things I'll hold for 4 years and some things I'll use within a week. Two more things that I actually forgot to mention while we were walking around. I have a wire rack up top, and that actually has different gauge wire as well as different colors. So if I need to pull from that for any sort of project, I have that readily accessible. Most of the time it's on spools. Otherwise I would have it in a box. I get that extra wire elsewhere and normally just stock that up. On top of that, I keep dollies, a two-wheeler, 2x4s, some extra wood laying around so that I can move stuff easily. As I mentioned before, it's easy when stuff's on wheels because you can move it in and out. Even the Ranchero right now, where it's not even on the frame, I actually have it on dollies. And so that's easy to move in and out of the shop. That's all for really the tools and the parts part of it. On top of that, I have some fun stuff in here, which includes the signs you can probably see behind me. There's a wall I'll show you right there, and that's filled with license plates as well as cool signs too. And those are just things I've accumulated over time from different states, different license plates saying different things. And right in the center, you can see our laser etched Burnout sign, which is pretty cool as well. And obviously the Ranchero fender and inner fenders are stacked up here. And then this 7-up clock does not keep the right time ever, but you betcha the light works when it's plugged in. I don't even know if it's plugged in. My sister actually painted that, and then Tarpy actually drew that. Just a couple pictures of the cars. This was a print of an old MG that's made to look like mine. Things like that, that's ultimately what I keep in the shop. Like I said, I always have new parts coming in and out. I'm thankful that I have this space. I'm thankful that I can put cars inside. I'm super thankful that I'm able to get my hands on these pieces of equipment and tools that we use all the time here on Burnout. It certainly wouldn't be the channel it is without all this stuff, including what Tarpy has in his shop as well. So pretty phenomenal what I've been able to produce here with the tools I have and the knowledge I have. Ultimately, you'll see that impact Burnout in the future. We'd love to grow even larger than this, but for now, this is what's helping us grow our passion, work on the channel, do as much as we can on both classic and modern cars. And yeah, that's pretty much what I keep in stock and on hand. Stay tuned for more videos like this. Hopefully this helped if you're wanting to set yourself up with something in particular in your shop, maybe a question you have on what you want to buy or what's better to buy. Leave it down in the comments. We'll respond to you of what we use more often than not, or what would be more worth your money at this point as you get into mechanics. So, like I mentioned, that's all for this Burnout Extra. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check out our website at burnoutshow.com and our social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok as well. So if you're not following us or subscribed, just go follow us and subscribe. It's right down in the description. Piece of cake. That's all for this video. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.